Hi, today I'd like to talk about the topic of character and happiness. Is character the basis of happiness? Or is character has nothing to do with happiness? What we have to think about when we're thinking of character, we have to understand something about the nature of happiness itself. You see, we tend to think of happiness in a very external way, as in, I have good health, I have nice relationships, my job is good, my life is going well. That's how we tend to think of things. But the problem with all of this is that do we actually really know ourselves? Do we actually really understand who we are? And then we have the aspect of character. We have to ask ourselves, what exactly is character? What is a good character? Well, you see, there's a bit of a problem here about what's a good character because there's nothing set in stone what exactly is a good character. Let's think of it this way. A person of good character is a person who has a value system, but there are many different value systems. So what value system is the right value system, the proper value system, the best value system? And this is a highly philosophical question to ask. But let's put it this way. I would say from my experience in life that people of good character tend to be happier on average than people who are not so good. Okay, their character's not so good. And we kind of have to ask the reason why. Why is it that somebody who has a good character tends to be happier than somebody who doesn't? Even though people's value system varies a lot. So what we have to understand is that when a person has good character, they have an inner value system and they are trying to align themselves with it. People who are people of good character try as best they can to be congruent between how they live their life and the way they should believe that they're living their life. And there will be differences. For example, I was raised Roman Catholic, and Roman Catholics will tend to be anti-abortion if they're following the official line. Muslims will tend to not eat bacon. Traditional Hindus, if they're following the Hindu religion, will avoid meat. So there's certain things that people tend to do. There is differences in the value systems. But not only is there, each of these people have value systems, and of course then we have the other type of value system is people who are not religious and don't buy, because there's two ways you can go with a value system. You can buy into a value system, like you're born into a religion, or you can come up with your own value system based upon your own inner questioning, inner journey, okay? Now, whether you buy into a value system, a ready-made one, like a religion, for example, or whether you come up with your own one, what you tend to come across will be what's loosely described as being the natural law. The natural law, the idea of the natural law principle is that it's pretty obvious what's the right thing to do. Things which respect other people, respect the dignity of the human being, respect people's rights and freedoms will tend to be the natural law. And I suppose the principle at work here is a principle that there's a natural way of doing things. Or if you want to be of a religious mindset or a spiritual mindset, you could say that there is the mind of God. And God makes itself present in our life in kind of obvious ways. That when we align ourselves to these natural rules and regulations which God has put into nature, we ourselves are happier beings. And I'm not going to enforce that, I'm just saying it's an idea that's very popular, the natural law idea. One thing is for sure, by and large, when you see people who are what we call a good character, they do tend to, even though they have their variations, they will tend to believe in the dignity of human beings, in freedom of speech or freedom of will. They'll tend to buy into these concepts. So there seems to be some truth in that. So if we get back to why it is that a person of good character will be happier than somebody without it. If you have no value system, you are just being blown by the wind, and whatever is the soup of the day, as it were, okay? Uh, I feel when I look at a lot of politicians, for example, that they take their finger out, they lick it, and they put it out there every morning, and they see which way the wind is blowing. And this is how they make policy. And the problem I have with that idea is that they have no backbone. Your average politician is an opportunist. They kind of come in two groups. They come in the family of politicians, professional politicians. They know how to stand and talk and look good, but they have nothing really. They've just got talking points. Whatever is the talking points which are in vogue. The other type we have is the crook type. The type who just takes every opportunity they can and leverages that opportunity for their own benefit. There are very few politicians who seem to have a backbone. And that's because there's very few politicians that have a value system. And getting away from politicians to people in general, you can be a very successful person. But if you've no value system, you're going to be blown by the wind and you're going to be doing whatever is trendy or with it. And the problem with that, although people have different value systems, people who have value systems tend to have these focuses on things like the dignity of human beings, freedom of choice, freedom of will, human rights, and so on. And there's something empowering about that, and something about that that makes us feel good, because there's something in it that rings true and makes us feel good. And there's something about that that kind of course corrects us in the right direction. If we see one of the big challenges we have in today's society is nihilism, or nihilism, depends which way you want to pronounce it. The problem with the nihilistic view of the world is that it basically says that nothing's important. And while your average nihilist or nihilist might be well-intentioned, the problem with them is that they don't believe in anything. Now, maybe the people who believe in religions are foolish people, but they do believe in something. And if we go from the perception that there is a natural law, whether that be just through nature or through God, things like believing in the dignity of humanity, believing in the freedom of human beings to have choice, believing in the rights of other people, believing that we should stand up and help other people. There's something in that that aligns with that objective reality, which you could call the mind of God, or you could call common decency. You can call it what it will. But whatever the case, people who have good character tend to be happier. Now, of course, you don't have to have a good character to be happy. We have guys like Dan Bilzerian, famous poster boy for the millionaire jet setting class. And does he have a good character? Probably not. I mean, he seemed to have inherited money from his dad, who's a fraud. And, he basically gets these girls to hang around him and pose, and it's a kind of mutual beneficial thing of, you're a hot chick, you hang out with me, and you raise your profile, and it raises my profile because I like having this playboy lifestyle image. But is he happy? You see, without this idea, so although different people have different idea of what good character is, it's always stuff like the specialness of being a human, the dignity of being a human. If you don't believe in human dignity, then you yourself will tend to live like an animal. And although a lot of people will be very successful and they party and all this, if there's no values behind what they're doing, after a while, there's something vacuous about their life. And they will tend to treat themselves badly as well. So it sounds good to be partying and having lots of alcohol and drugs and sex and all this. But people who do it for a long period of time usually find themselves burning out doing it. And they long for peace And many people who do this lifestyle eventually leave this lifestyle and realize there's something wrong with it, vacuous, that somehow in the process of having this endless party, while it's fun at the beginning, it comes to a stage eventually where they feel they've lost something. They feel that somehow, because they're treating themselves like an animal, that they themselves have lost their dignity, that they themselves have lost their self-worth. It's a very weird thing. You think that living a wild lifestyle will be great. And maybe it's good for a while. But to stay there for a long time doesn't seem to make people happy. And of course, you have people who are very rich and famous and all these people. And again, if there's no values to it, it's like your lifestyle is based upon your attributes. Your lifestyle is based upon the money in your bank, or how good you look, or how nice your car is, or how cool your friends are. And again, it seems to become vacuous. So I can't tell you exactly why it is, but for whatever case, people with good character, and like I said, it will vary from person to person, but it's always based on things like dignity, like this, the dignity of human being, the specialness of human being, respecting other people, respecting people's rights, respecting freedom of choice, not lying or cheating or screwing people over. And somehow when we live like that, I suppose our own thinking process, when we respect others, you see, if I respect you, I also respect myself. If I debase you, I debase myself. In some way or other, if I lack values in my life, in the way I treat others, it reflects on me somehow. So if I really want to be happy, and I look at you for this natural law idea of I respect the dignity of who you are, I try and respect you and treat you decently, I try and respect your freedom of choice, your freedom of will, and all of those good things. I also respect my freedom of choice and my freedom of will. And in seeing dignity, respecting your dignity, I respect my dignity. So a very strange thing, I can't fully explain why it is, but the values that I express towards you seem to reflect towards me. And if I really want to be happy in life, I really have to treat other people with a good character. And in the long term, not the short term, but in the long term, if I treat other people with good character, it comes back on me. And I feel that way too. And that's why I feel that good character is the basis of happiness. Because we cannot divide ourselves. How we treat others invariably affects how we treat ourselves. And you could call it selfishness if you like, but it seems to work. That whether it's really that you care about others or you really care about yourself, in the end, if you do try and have a good character, and if you do try and do the right thing by others, somehow you're doing the right thing by yourself. And somehow you respect yourself in the process, and you are aware of your dignity, and you are aware of your freedom of choice, and your inner strength comes out there. So, for whatever reason, when we have values, even though we might have some technical ideas which are different, like one religion from another, or one person's psychological self-reflection on another, but when we try and have values, when we try and have character, it reflects well upon us, and it makes us feel better. Whether that's the mind of God in action, or it's just that whatever we do with others, we do to ourselves somehow, it does work, and it does seem to make us happy. And that's why I would say that good character is the basis of happiness, because whatever we project, in some degree we reflect. It becomes part of who we are. And the more we respect and love other people, the more respect and love we feel in ourselves, somehow mysteriously along the way. And that's been my experience, and I think it's something worthy of thinking about. Okay, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll talk to you next time.